Doctors are killing themselves and no one cares. I recently saw this TikTok where a neurologist shared that when she was in neurology residency, she was having thoughts about not wanting to be alive. And as a psychiatrist, this is obviously our field. And so I'm very used to hearing this from people. But for this neurologist to share this, her colleagues, I'm sure it comes off as a shock. Her patients may come off as a big thing, friends and family. Like for them to hear that this person has thoughts about killing themselves, it is a very big deal. But I mean, it's also normal to me. And this is so common in the field of medicine. I remember when I was in my residency, our OB-GYN program director killed herself. She died by suicide. And so we're the department who felt it the hardest, the psychiatry department, because this is our wheelhouse. This literally happened in our institution. Could we have done something to prevent it? And as I've gone through my medical career, I hear about all these stories about, okay, doctors killing themselves or thinking about killing themselves. And I feel like there's always, okay, there's a little eulogy, celebration of that person's life, maybe a mention on Reddit, and then it gets forgotten about. And quite honestly, the truth is that nobody cares. The hospitals just view us as commodities, so we're replaceable to them. They care because now they're losing their bottom line. Patients don't really care because, hey, we're doctors, we're rich. We have a whole bunch of money that we're spending on boats and big houses and fancy cars. So, like, the average general public doesn't really care. Medical residents, med students, we're all trapped in the system. Once we enter medical school, then we just have to go through it because we have so much debt that it prevents us from leaving. When we're in residency, we have to get through residency because that's how we can practice as an attending. Otherwise, we're not going to get hired. So any kind of abuse that happens, any overworking, shitty condition, we just have to bear it and endure it. Because if we lose a residency spot, then we're pretty much screwed. And it's not a resident. As we know, residencies aren't like jobs. It's very hard to get one, and especially in a competitive field, it's hard to hop from residency to residency. We lose that as we have no leverage there whatsoever. So the residencies further can work us harder. They know that if we don't have the spot, then a foreign medical graduate will easily take our spot and be willing to work those hours that we're not willing, that we know we don't want to work, but we're forced to. And then as an attending, it's not like life gets easier. It's the same bullshit is going on in the hospitals that was there in residency. And you feel like you have more choice because you can hop and leave away from it. But we really don't have as much choice as we do, as we think, because let's imagine that an attending signs up for a job. So now this job, sure, they might pay a lot of money, but they'll expect a lot of work for that money too. And now that physician gets entrenched because let's say they bought a house. So now they have a mortgage. Let's say they have their kids enrolled in the school system. Let's say they still have student loans to pay. That's a big one. Now, let's say the job starts changing things where they make the doctor work more, they add more admin responsibilities, teaching stuff without really increasing pay. So now the doctor feels trapped that they have to do all this stuff just to keep up. Or now, let's say if they've had lifestyle inflation, now they have to keep working in order to facilitate their lifestyle, which they might have felt they earned it since now they're an attending. So all these things keep doctors trapped. And it's this feeling of trappedness, I think, that leads to doctors feeling suicidal. Obviously, I've worked with patients who feel suicidal, and they do it because they feel like there's no other way. There is no way. And we already feel that in medical school. We already feel that in residency. And now, even attendings that I work with, they feel that way too. I remember when I was working my outpatient private practice job before I started doing social media and like full-time social media and my own practice full-time, that I felt like I was just there to crank out patients. I would just show up, see patients, just crank them out back to back and leave. That's what it felt like I was doing. And I've never experienced suicidal thoughts, but I definitely remember feeling burnt out. And I was like, wait, is all this work that I've led up to, is this what it all amounts to? You're just cranking out like patient after patient. Basically, my labor is just being used to generate the clinic profit. And what really internalized this for me was when I was talking to one of the clinic's operations directors. She was basically doing an audit of all the clinicians. And so she came to me and so she said that you are not retaining your patients. And I was not retaining as many patients as other clinicians. I was like, okay, what do you mean? And she's like, yeah, the patients that you're seeing, they're not coming back. And I was like, because they're getting better. Like I had this one patient who she had mentioned, but the patient had social anxiety. And so we treated her with saffron. And instead of an antidepressant. And so she comes back a month later and she's like, yeah, I feel great on the saffron. It's made a huge benefit in my mood and my anxiety. And so, yeah, I think I'm good. And I'm like, perfect. If I put that patient on a medication now, the patient would be obligated to come back to check the medication, increase the dose of the medication, check for side effects, every 3-month visit. And so that's when I realized that, these medications that we have, they are a way to keep the patients coming back. And the reason that the clinics and the hospital systems, they want the patients to keep coming back is because they generate revenue for the patients or for the clinics. And once I understood that, I was like, wow, like I really do feel trapped. Like I felt like I was like a labor monkey working there. And there when I was working my outpatient job, like I felt like I had to make sure that my diet was on point, like very clean, make sure that my sleep 8 to 9 hours a day, make sure that I was exercising 4 or 5 times a week. All that stuff helped me stay sane. And the only reason I could do all that is because I was working psychiatry. So I had the ability to do all those life caring things. But for my colleagues who are in surgery, internal medicine, it's a lot harder for us to take care of ourselves. Like I remember when I was in my internal medicine rotation in med school, I would go in when the sun was dark, and I would leave when it was dark. So like I never saw daylight. Literally, we would go in at 5 a.m., 6 a.m. for we would have to have the whatever you call it when it's like turnover, right? That's shift change. And then at 6 p.m. when the night team comes on. And I'm like, yeah. And I felt burnt out and I was only doing this for a month. So let alone my internal medicine colleagues who have to do this for 3 years. Like I remember one of my chief resident in my internal medicine rotation confessed to me that, yeah, he was taking Lexapro and it changed his life. He was an Indian guy, and like in our culture, the depressants and medication, like that is not a accepted paradigm. And he was like, yeah, like I haven't told people about this, but yeah, I've had thoughts about killing myself, and this has kept me from staying sane. And of course, like the jobs, they don't want us to take care of ourselves, right? They don't want us to live our lives and be happy because doctors are rich. We make money. We don't almost like people think that we don't deserve to be happy, which is not the case. And as I mentioned, my outpatient job, I was devoting like the clean eating, the exercise, the sleep. But I would come home at let's say 7, 8 p.m., maybe exercise, and that was it. That was my whole day gone. So my whole day, I just felt it was work and maybe working out, and that's it. And I was just like, this is not what life is meant to be. And now flash forward to social media life where I see patients 1 day a week in clinic. I make social media content full time. I have a coaching community where I educate psych NPs, like teaching psychiatry. And it's the amount of happiness that I feel and life satisfaction, like nothing beats that. I wake up whenever I want to. Like today, I wake up, I went to boxing, then I'm showered, now I'm recording videos, then I'm going to eat lunch, then I'll see some patients later tonight. I'm going to do my coaching call. Tomorrow, I'm going to wake up around like 9 a.m., go to the gym, and then I have the whole rest of the day off to do whatever I want, whether it's make social media content, whether it's make coaching content for my community, whatever it is, I have the whole day free to do that. And I can, if I want to go to lunch with my mom, I can. So like Thursday, sometimes we'll go to lunch. I can. I don't have a care in the world. If I want to go to the barber, yeah, I just book my appointment is tomorrow at 11 a.m. at the barber. So I'm going to go do that because I can. If I need to go see my banker, yeah, I can just go in the middle of the day. If I need to go grocery shopping, whatever it is, I can just do all those things whenever I want to. If I want to stay up at night playing video games, I can. If I want to spend time with my friends, I can do that. Next week, as of recording this, I'm going to Atlanta. Some of our cousins are getting together. We're just having a fun weekend together in that city. And I don't need to take any vacation days or holidays or conference days, I just go. I'm slated to speak at a conference in July, and I'm not taking any conference days for it. I'm just going to go to the conference. Literally, that's it. I'm about to move to Miami in a couple months as of recording this. So I don't need to book off time for the move. I've just set a date. I'm just like, oh yeah, I'm going to move. So I've decided. And I just picked that city. I don't have a job lined up there. I'm just going because I want to experience that city. So I'm going to stay there for a year and then decide what I want to do after that. Right. So I have complete location freedom. And so all of this has been possible through social media. And this is quite frankly, the happiest I've ever felt since before medical school. And I'll tell you a time, I love video games, right? I grew up being a gamer. And so I definitely played a whole bunch in high school and college. And then I got to medical school where my gaming declined very much as due to the medical curriculum and how hard med school is. And I remember this was in 2017. There was a game coming out called Horizon Zero Dawn. And I was looking at it and I was looking at the trailers and how beautiful it looked. And I started crying. I literally remember it was around like midnight on Tuesday, Wednesday night. I'm looking at this trailer and I'm crying. And I'm crying because it was February of that year and it was my second year. So I was studying for step one, which I was taking in June. But we still had med school going on classes too. And I was like, it's sad that I don't have a chance to play this game until I can finish step one and then I can finally have some time to play. And I remember literally after step one had ended, I'd started my third year rotations. I was like, screw this, I don't want to wait anymore. And I bought a PS4 and I started playing this game. And now I game more than I have done since I was in high school because I have the freedom now to fully enjoy my hobbies without stress. And this is what's made me so happy now and so much more fulfilled in my life is that I get to help people. I get to help my patients in my private practice. I get to help my psych and Ps. So I get to give back. I had people teach me psychiatry, so now I get to give back. I get to share my expertise online on social media. I get to spend time with my friends, travel wherever I want to, whenever I want. I can move wherever I want to, and I can play all the games that I want to too. Like now it almost feels like I have the perfect life balance so I can do whatever I want. Yeah, so it's the happiest that I found. So that's literally the reason I'm starting this channel is because I want to help other doctors be able to achieve this level of freedom, this level of happiness in their lives. And the best way that I've found has been through social media. And so that's why it's my mission now to encourage doctors to start posting on social media so that way we can finally have our freedom back, have our income in our control, have influence, build a brand, and ultimately just practice medicine the way that we want to with the patients that we want to work with. So that's all the goal is for this channel. Yeah, thank you for subscribing, helping support our mission, and definitely leave a comment if you've resonated with this or share this video with someone who you think would benefit. I'm just tired of doctors getting taken advantage of in the system. Like suicide is the ultimate form of feeling trapped. And the fact that so many doctors, med students have done it is just makes me very sad, right? Like we look at it, we look at things now, or we look at surveys now, and they say over 40% of doctors or 50% of doctors wouldn't recommend medicine as a career to upcoming people. And I feel that way too. I wouldn't recommend medicine to other people. Like I would say there's many other careers where you can make good money and you can help other people too that don't drain your life and your soul nearly as much as medicine does. But now, what's done is done, right? And now I feel like I'm happy that I can live medicine and I can practice medicine in a way that really helps me feel fulfilled and better at the end of the day instead of worse. Yeah, I hope this video was helpful and definitely check out the other videos in this channel and I'll see you there.